There's a TV series on Netflix called Lockwood and Company, and I watched it last year and I really fell in love with it. Unfortunately, they only had one season, so I found the books and read them. Donna got me all 5 books for my birthday, but I had already listened to all of the audiobooks, which were amazing, by the way. And while Lucy Carlisle was definitely my favorite character in the book series, she's the protagonist, there's a character named Skull who I truly fell in love with. And I guess if you haven't seen or read the Lockwood and Company books, I should explain that it takes place in a world where ghosts come back and only young people can see them. Only special young people can see them, and they are basically ghost hunters. And ghosts are essentially bound to either a piece of them or a very prized possession. And in the book, there is a jar with a skull that a ghost is attached to. And this ghost, trapped in this jar with its skull, is lovingly referred to just simply as Skull. And it is not a nice skull. It is not a nice ghost. It is very, very sarcastic and creepy, and it is always making the most disgusting faces, and it's twisting its eyes inside out. And I wanted to try to see if I could kind of capture that somehow. So I started off with a bunch of thumbnails, just trying to get what I had imagined while reading the book, the faces that Skull was making to Lucy the whole time. And once I settled on the face that Skull was going to make, I started out designing the actual jar that the skull was in. And I actually had to get some reference because I haven't drawn a skull in a while, but I found some good reference of a skull and drew it. And I thought that the skull would be in 2 pieces with the jawbone being underneath. And there was always a little latch that Lucy would lift up so she could speak to the skull and shut it if she didn't want to hear him. And this is how I envisioned it. So since the ghost is going to be superimposed over the skull, I'm doing the skull in fine lines because it's going to be technically in the background. And then the ghost, also known as Skull, is going to be done with my thicker zebra brush pen. And I want him to overlay over the skull, the actual physical skull. And I'm gonna paint from the distance, from further away forward. So I'm gonna paint the skull first, lightly, and then the jar. And then the last thing I'll paint is the ghost, whose name is Skull. It's a little confusing, but Skull never gave his name, so that's all we know him as is Skull. But I wanted to try to get the impression that he's smashing his ghostly face against the glass jar, and it was kind of a fun experiment to do that. I really love the Lockwood and Company books and the TV series, and I hope they make more because I'd love to see more of the ghost in a jar known as Skull.